talking about MPs, the president has been asking aspiring members of parliament in Ghana and other parts of Africa to make realistic promises during electioneering. He also wants the MPs to make a conscious effort in educating the public about the specific role that legislators play in order to put an end to demands on the MPs by the electorate. He was saying this at the Africa Regional Commonwealth Speakers Conference, which is taking place here in Accra. And the president also bemoaned the practice in which electorate depend on MPs for their livelihood. And it's all about the misconception of the MP, what the role of the MP is, etc. What do you make of the president's comment? You think it comes at an opportune time?
Yeah, I think...
Is it because it is a very thorny issue? Yeah. The MPs and what they campaign on, the promises they give the people, and then the responsibilities that the people also after those elections tend to exact from them, for which they are not willing to give.
I wish you have a playback cassette of the president campaign in the 12-year period of his MPship and
what he said.
And see what he said. So when you read the message, you listen to the message very well. At the point he said, they are self-inflicted. It is not with the MPs who prefer going to stand somewhere and say, I will do this, I will do that, I will do that. Everything is in the Constitution. Article 93, 1 and 2 tell Ghanaians clearly what the core functions of Parliament are. That's representation, legislation, and oversight. That Parliament shall be the sole duty of Parliament to legislate. And that is our core functions. We all know. But Roland, assuming you are voted to come to Parliament, then after 4-year period, you go back to your constituents. They ask you, when we voted for you, what did you do? You say, oh, me, I went there. You said I should go and do law, so I went there to make laws. Ghana has not developed to a point where you get the kind of votes that brought you to power. And that is why I cited the instance of Che Mensah and Honorable Bagwen, the suffering they are going through. Speaker Dua Ejao, who is the sole survivor of the D.F. Annan leadership in Parliament, is the only Lone Ranger in Parliament currently as I'm talking. And we have very outstanding legislators. Abraham Oseidu, how old is he? And where is he now? Osekwan Prepe, how old is he? Where is he now? Even Papa Oswan Kama, they are all opting out. But this is the time.
Because they know when they go, they will not find favor in the eyes of the election.
Not that they will not find favor. Some their own parties, Abraham Oseidu, it was his party that voted him out. Because he was becoming too outstanding a legislator. You understand? It happens in NDC, it happens in MPP. So the more experienced you become, the more hatred you develop for yourself. Because the parliamentary work is in such, the way it is, you need to stand on your feet and watch government. So if you are getting to a point where you can even say no to the president, it means you are developing hatred within parliament. And that is what led to the exit of Abraham Oseidu, Peter Lajeti. They were all trying for the independence of parliament. And that developed hatred for the Kufuor administration. And they took them out. It happened in NDC, J.H. Osu Achampong, in the Rawlings administration. They were all vying for parliament to be independent. And therefore, they were growing some kind of wings to make sure that parliament was able to exert the core duty that was given to parliament. J.H. Osu Achampong, they all saw them. They worked, the same parties orchestrated and saw their exit. So parliament is a victim of circumstances. It's not just because we are not saying the kind of thing that you are supposed to say. But what the president is saying now is the true reflection of what is happening in the system. You are voted to come and legislate, to come and represent your people, to come and do oversight. Even your own party, when you do the oversight in such a way that you insist on the right thing being done, your party says that you belong to the other side. It happened to me, I'm in DCE. When we brought in to power, but when it came to oversight, I told them, my brother, we are friends, but when it comes to this particular, this is me, my job. I have to make sure that you do the right thing.
So work is work.
Work is work. When it comes to work, we must do things in the right way. But when the common fund get to the Bana constituency, it is no more government money. It is the money for the Bana people. So we must make sure that we make judicious use of the fund in such a way that every Bana living everywhere will benefit. So don't call the money government money And therefore, some people were saying that, oh, Abansi Kasana Yedi, Odia Manindinko, government money, that is how they chop. If you chop, let him go. And I said, ah. So when the money gets here, it is no more government money, but they divide it by the number of people.
But at the end of the day,
work should be done.
Okay, by the end,
how many people will buy into your idea?
But
you said that I belong to the MPP when I was doing that.
But at the end of the day, as members of parliament, at what point do you have to make this very decision to say, I want to campaign, but I want to campaign on truth and not tell my electorate that I will help them build schools when I know I'm standing on the ticket of a party that is not likely to win the main elections. Or let's say my party did not win the main elections. So what happens?
Yeah, if your party doesn't win the main elections, you are still in government. Well, we have 3 arms of government.
Yes, but you promise them so much.
The judiciary and the legislature.
There's only a limit to what. There's only a limit to what an MP can lobby for. Yeah. Government in power or government not in power. Party in power, party not in power.
When we talk of the power of lobbying, that is why sometimes we go and the way we express it is what creates problems for us. The power of lobbying comes to even the budget. If you go to the developed world, somebody opens the budget, what will my constituency benefit from this budget? If you know that I'm one of the outstanding parliamentarians who can influence votes in parliament, and you bring a budget and I have nothing to gain in it. It happened in the Kufuor's administration, and I will give you an instance. Osafo Mafu was bringing his budget to parliament. He organized one of the big men. Is it Osafo Mafu or Baurid? One of them. He saw some of the outstanding, outspoken legislators in the other side, and one of them happened to be Asiedu Nketia. He said, I'm bringing this man budget. Asiedu Nketia didn't beg for money to put in his pocket. What he said was that, me to my school, the Nkraman Secondary School, you have to make sure that they also benefit from the guests.
So it's about lobbying.
It's about lobbying. And so what do you want to give them? One, maybe if you give, we need guest dormitory. If you go there, that story building is there. And it is the only story building that was there until NDC came to power. So sometimes, MP, you use that, your power, your mouth, to lobby, and your experience, to lobby for some of those facilities. And that is what we say that we facilitate. So the facilitation, I don't know how we say it in Chi. And that was, oh, I will do this, I will do this. So the facilitation, the word facilitation is a bit weak. But when you are saying it in Chi, it's stronger. Oh, I will make sure that this road... Yeah. You will not even... Let me give you one simple example. In November 2000, just 1 month to the main election, 2000 election, President Rawlings, in time, at that time it was called Wenchi West, he went there for a program. The Badu Mahini told him that from Dumasi to Badu was his problem. And therefore, that road...
That is the road, the poor nature of the road.
The poor nature of the road. So when President Rawlings came there, and the Mahini told him that, Mr. President, if you are not able to control this road, we are not going to vote for you. And Rawlings looked at his face and said, Nana, I've given you silos. I've given you health centers. I've given you secondary school. I've given you water for drinking and all those kind of things. But if you give me 1 month to construct this road before you vote for me, Nana, there's no way. It is not possible that within 1 month I'll construct this road. So that one is not possible. You know, Rawlings, as military as he was, he spoke the truth. Then they said they voted against him. Immediately Rawlings left, President Kufuor came. Then they put the same question, the road. Then President Kufuor said, Nana, my wife is just in Dumasi here. So if it is about the road from Dumasi to Badu, if even government money will not be, I will use my own pocket money to construct it.
He got more votes.
He won. He won massively. So when he won, 4 years, they couldn't construct the road. So they happened to go there for the 2004 campaign. Let me give you one scenario. So when they went there, the people asked about the road. The man asked about the road. President Kufuor just looked at the regional minister. Regional minister, you still haven't constructed the road. You see the funny of it? So that is the irony of Ghanaian politics. So it is not us.
So you're
sometimes on the stage.
Is it that we the electorate don't want the truth, or sometimes we try to exert too much or want so much?
Yeah. You see, why will you promise heaven? You promise heaven when somebody demands for heaven, and you know that that is the only thing that will bring you to that will bring you to power. So it is not us. Even as I'm talking now, why did I say that the biometric is not good for the incumbents? Simply because there were some physical infrastructure that incumbents MPs promised. And the people are demanding. Once you promise, you give an avenue to be asked questions. You expose yourself so vulnerable to the point that some questions will be demanded from you. So sometimes it is not us. But what the president is saying, that tape, I believe you play it back and play it for Ghanaians to know that what they are demanding from us is not our core duties. Parliament has taken it upon ourselves to say it again and again. But if we are the very people who go and promise all those things, only to come to Parliament and go and tell the people that this, you should not ask me this. Meanwhile, when that is what you promised before coming to power. Roland, you see the problem that we find ourselves in. So even coming next week, coming this week, we are going to the Upper West region. You know, we went to Tamale, we went to Bolga, we went to Sunyani, we went to Cape Coast, all preaching or explaining the core duties of parliamentarian. This week, we are left with Upper West region to go. So as we are going to the Upper West region, it's the same thing we are going to say. So we have been saying it. But when the president speaks, Ghanaians listen more. So the civil society organizations, the media, you should be all on board to make sure that we get quality legislators in the House. You know, the president's main problem was that out of these things, we vote very astute parliamentarians out of power. And when that happens, in Ghana, that suffers. When you vote, like Papa also and Kama, when we came to Parliament in 2009, Parliament was so divided.
How long has he been in
He's been in power
since 1996?
96. So he's been in power for 5 terms. And you know the funny thing?
And 5 terms is...
He went to the constituency just to brief them on what happens in Parliament. And the lawyer in his constituency asked him, Honorable, tell us, when I was a student, you were our MP. I've completed and gone to law school and come, and you are still our MP. Tell us, is it that we don't have anybody here again? And if you look at the kind of person who was asking those questions, you see, meanwhile, this is the person we worship in Parliament just because of his experience as former Attorney General, his experience as one of the longest serving MPs, his experience as the former majority leader. So he's so nationalistic in such a way that is very balanced. But look at the question a lawyer in his constituency is asking him. So if a lawyer will ask this question, how much more do you expect the one who is not educated to do? These are the problems that we go through. But when you go to the developed countries, as I'm talking now, there are legislators and speakers from other Commonwealth countries. There are some who have been in Parliament since 1994. And that is why the South African Parliament is one of the strongest parliaments in Africa here. Those who were voted for...
Because they have long-standing members.
Exactly. South Africa, Kenya, or not those things. But if you come to Ghana, they say, oh, you have been to Parliament for 2 terms, so you come and let your brother also go.
But that should be the rule.
That is the time that...
Or it's not the rule. We need experience.
In Parliament, it's like the judiciary. It's only the executive where you have that. Why is it that when you go, before you become the Supreme Court judge, you will retire at age 75? Why is it so? Because that is where you need some kind of experience that you'll be able to gather up to that level.
I see. Ahmed Ibrahim, Honorable Anne-Marie, you want to be till you're 75 years. So is that what you're lobbying for?
That is what happened. Jeremy Corbyn, the leader of the Labour Party, yes. How old is he? He's 67 years. He's been in Parliament for 32 years. Yes, yes. And he's the one, he's contested with a very rich person. He was voted for because of the experience. When that happens,
not that because he's rich. Yes.
He is not rich. The rich man lost. But Jeremy Corbyn was voted for because he has the experience, what it takes to legislate. So when you go and meet Britain, that you are going to negotiate. Ghana goes with the backbenchers who have just come to Parliament, inexperienced. Then you go and meet the Britain legislator who have been in Parliament for 40 years, 30 years. And you say we should go national interest, we are going to negotiate. You go at the receiving end. Because you go with weaker front. So in that way, a congressman takes parliament legislation as career job. A Westminster man takes it as a career job. The Scottish man takes it as a career job. The Chinese man takes it as a career job. The Ghanaian man takes it that, oh, you go for 1 term, come and let your brother go. Then you say that we should go and do international negotiation with them. How are we prepared? So we must prepare our parliamentarians with the experience, no matter which side they are coming from. And even on the floor, compare Parliament in 2008 2000 to 2008, NDC had the best legislators. They were winning all the debates. MPP had very new and fresh legislators. They were losing the debate, but they were using their numbers. Is that what we want? No. So come next parliament, if NDC doesn't take care, we are going with fresh new men to meet MPP, very experienced legislators, and we'll be losing the debate. It's clear. So this is why, as we are going for these primaries, it will be necessary for every member in the party to make sure that we put monetary issues aside, we put personal hatred aside, and we think about the supremacy of the party, the supremacy of the nation, to make sure that we vote for people who are so intelligent and so well versed in the legislative process, so that when they come to parliament, you will not sit outside and say that, oh, our parliamentarians are not speaking, the MP people are taking over the parliament. It's not like that. Just because they have been able to retain their members. So that is how the work goes. So that is why when MPP were doing their primaries, some of us were campaigning that Honorable Oseche Mensah Bonsu wins, simply because he contributes immensely to parliamentary legislation when it comes to bills. One member that lost and all of us were crying was W.O. Boafo. When it comes to legislation, he was always there, sacrificing for the nation. Not knowing his constituents didn't know, they voted him out.
But he was only a one-term member? Or
no, he was about, I think, 2 terms or 3 terms.
No,
so, and Honorable Yaba, one of the international lawyers. So, you see, the kind of people who always lose out of this thing, like the president is crying for, always go on to affect the national, the kind of laws that we make for ourselves.
Okay.
So, Roland, you must all join on board to support the president call for, supporting experienced legislators to make sure that we maintain them. And what he said, that is very interesting, is that it is not the duty of MP to control road. It is the duty of the national, the executive and the local government. So why do you punish MPs just for the woes of somebody, for the wrongs somebody have committed?
Okay.
So I think it's a call in the right direction.
Subject.
And we must all
the Electoral Commission has given the intention to abolish what they call the strong room. I don't know whether you've heard about it. The strong room, where we tend to create this myth, and attached to this very myth is all the disagreement that tends to characterize it, which is duly reported by the media when it comes to the presidential election specifically. What do you make of it?
Yeah, Roland, I think it's a call in the right direction. The strong room, you see, when at that point, NDC, MPP are packed just for that seconds or for that hours to decide on who wins the main elections. Sometimes it has not been a favorable thing. So they are preventing us from entering the strong room. Party faithfuls are packed there. The delegates, apart from delegates entering the strong room, you see that area, the princess of that electoral commission where all those things happen, is packed by party faithfuls. And sometimes, if you listen to the kind of words that happen, it connotes some idea that the strongest man is going to win because it's the strongest man who will always be in the strong. So they are doing this year, oh, we were winning, and as now they started changing it. If a party fanatic is giving that statement at that hour, what do you expect to happen? And that is the silent period of the national listening. That is the era, the hours or the seconds where you don't even see a bird flying. Even birds, animals are afraid. Cock even doesn't crow. So, Roland, why do we subject ourselves to that kind of thing? So if the Electoral Commission is saying that if in the constituencies we don't have those kind of things, then why do we have in the national where we are going to create a whole confusion for ourselves? So I totally agree with him. And if you look at the current electoral process that we have, I think we keep on evolving the kind of things, the way our electoral reforms are happening. From 92 up to now, things keep on changing. So I think we got to a stage where we are beginning to learn from other countries, best practices. Even though we are one of the best practices when it comes to Africa, that doesn't mean that we should not move towards perfection. So if the Electoral Commission is calling for a change or flashing out the strong room, I think it's a call in the right direction. We must give him the chance to perform. I think so far, they have performed to our satisfaction. The fear some of us people were trying to put in our heads, although the woman is so young and is so decent. But it's not only the woman who is going to do it. I think they have about 7 or 9 commissioners who are there to do these things. So if she is the chairperson and she has just come to join, and because of that, we wanted to use just her age to discredit the whole system, when we have also used somebody's age to discredit that he was too old, then what were we looking for? The oldest man should go, the youngest man should not join. So what were we looking for? So Roland, I have my this, but when you listen to the woman on that day, you really know that
when we had the two they fought.
exactly Ghanaian women have come of age. They are superb. They are outstanding. And she is not only having the qualification that she possesses. The woman was able to silence the whole country like Afarjan used to do. And that is why some of us have confidence in their system, that no way, the Ghanaian Electoral Commission has come of age. And therefore, politicians will do our own things. But we must leave them to referee and give us fair and neutral judgment. Do your work well, and they will give their judgment. But when we think that it's the Electoral Commission that will make a party win, that's where the mistake comes from. I have passed through all those things before. I've campaigned and taken power from opposition, even when all the forces will gather in time, I beat them. Simply because I knew my predecessor would use incumbency advantage. I was organizing the grassroots, always organizing the grassroots, anti-rigging machinery. I call it anti-rigging machinery. Making sure that we police every polling station. When you do all those things, Roland, you will not come and sit there and be shifting blame on anybody. You understand? But when you are guided by only personal interests, thinking that you will not do the right thing, and you expect the Electoral Commission to help you do the right thing, to help you win at all costs, that is where all the problems come from. Look, the Ghana Electoral Commission is the most fair and firm and flexible Electoral Commission we've ever had. When parties go to IPAC and call for flexibility in the process for transparency, they do. When it comes that an incumbent government has lost, they declare you as loser. When an opposition government wins, they declare you as winner. So what blame can you have just to tarnish the image of such a credible institution? But if you don't do your internal affairs very well, as I'm talking now, MPP is not clamoring to win the 2016 election. They are doing everything possible to make sure that Nana Addo becomes the next presidential candidate from 2017 to 2021. I'm telling you.
That's politics.
I'm telling you.
That's pure politics.
I'm telling you.
You
don't know.
Well, we're talking about the strong room.
You don't know.
But we're talking about the strong room, though. So, so now all the parties have consensus that at least a strong room should be abolished.
It must be all of us.
Okay. And the last subject we have is the subject of the MPP. What do you make of the ongoings in the MPP currently? There are currently wranglings about a National Executive Committee meeting that has been called today. Now we have...
I heard it yesterday.
Now we have Nana Yaw Sarpong, a spokesperson for the, he says, national chairman, Paul Afoko. We know he's been suspended, though.
I told you.
But now he's saying that.
I told you that it's not about Paul Afoko. It's about preparing that Nana Addo becomes the next candidate, even 2017. If he doesn't win 2016, they know 2016 is foregone conclusion for President Mahama. Why will you be fighting Afoko at this time? Afoko's aim is to help you to win your 2016 elections. Why this thing is it not needless? The kind of things that we are seeing in MPP at this time, are they not needless? Can't we do away with them? Is this the first time? Sometimes we must be guided by history. If Aruna Isiko couldn't conclude his 4-year term, if Afoko can't conclude his 4-year term, what do you think the Ghanaians are going to speak about your party? If you listen to what happened, the president before Afoko became the chairman of the MPP, can't these things guide you to make sure that whatever is happening, you sit within, behind closed door, high-powered, experienced leadership of the party to decide on these things? MPP shouldn't go the way they are going. And sometimes with the young ones, when we see the kind of things happening within, we begin to worry. And that's why I'm saying that the battle is not for the 2016 elections. The 2016 elections, their doings and their internal wranglings have caused them the 2016 elections.
Somebody say you the NDC. Somebody say you the NDC, you are becoming complacent.
Complacent when we have extended our electoral college to make sure that we candle the lifeblood of the party everywhere. All old veterans are now in their working years, going from every hamlet of the country to make sure that we clamor for votes for the president, massive endorsement of President Mahama. President Mahama now is designing how he's going to rule from 2017 to 2021. Then you come and tell us that we are becoming competent. No party has ever have ever crossed the 8-year period. Do you know that?
And you want to be the first.
And
you want to be the
that's
first.
Why
and you want to be the first.
Clearly speaking.
All right.
That's why we are rejuvenating everything. So the complacency will not set in.
Ahmed Ibrahim,
in position of candidates.
Ahmed Ibrahim is a member of parliament for Banda. He's also a deputy majority.
Let me tell you, they are thinking of expanding their electoral.
We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll